Hello, Wednesday, and hello as well to everybody, our listeners and viewers here on the show, as well as on YouTube. Like in previous Wednesdays, we've got quite a treat for you all today. My name is CJ Edmunds, and this is the fifth episode of our second season. Now, unlike previous episodes, we have a double treat for you. Look at that, two for the price of one. Mm-mm-mm. Now, perhaps, but while individually they are a force to be reckoned with, as a duo, I know that the sky is the limit with these two gentlemen that we have on today. Our first important person on the show today is someone who has been involved in the development of the entertainment industry of Cebu since 2014, and specifically in the animation service work as well as in the original content. Now he founded the creative studio called Enigma Kai. This is formerly known as Enigma Works back in 2009, and as of 2022, he is the chairman of the company. He is also the founder of the local industry events called Sugbo Entertainment Expo Cebu, or Cebu, SEECEBU. Yes, I see what you did there. And Cebu Creative Entertainment Week, that's CCEW. This was organized also in partnership with the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now, the Cebu Chamber also appointed him as committee chairman for creative entertainment industries in CBM 2022. Now, the second important person on the show, apart from being a good friend, is someone who is involved in the running of a printing house that specializes in publishing comic books, manga, and manhwa. He speaks four languages, labang ka, English, Tagalog, Japanese,
Mhm.
and he is JLPTN3 certified, yes, and Mandarin, including Hokkien, in case you do speak that particular Chinese dialect. Now, his multilingualism landed him a short stint as a game translator and tester at Level Up Games, one of the first online game publishers in the Philippines. For those who were part of that and who use that platform, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure it brings back memories for a lot of you out there. Now, he is slowly building a career in entertainment events, from movie screenings to concerts and shows, his biggest being the Syzygy Music Festival, led by EDM artist Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike. Now, in addition, he is also building Omniversal. This is a conglomerate that will produce original content like live action series, shorts, science and education, as well as pop culture. Now, both these two gentlemen are part of the team that are tasked to bring this original anime series entitled Solemn Vow to fruition. So, without further ado, let's welcome Lawrence Panganiban and Franz C to the show today. Yoo-hoo!
Yeah. Hi
Ah!
guys.
Hello, hello, hello
Mhm.
from Cebu.
Yes, from Cebu. Finally, guys are here. Welcome, Lawrence and Franz, to Urban Fantasy PH. I'm so happy that you could join us today, and get take some time off from your busy schedule. It's quite obvious that you both are massive anime fans, and while I don't think that there is anybody out there who may still not know what anime is, but just in case, for the uninitiated and in layman's terms, how would you define anime?
You want to go
Um,
first,
Yeah.
Idol, or do I go?
yeah,
No,
the
let
first one
Lawrence
there.
do it. Para come. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, well, it's simply what, in my opinion at least, and a lot of other people's opinions, the Japanese animation, or animation done in the Japanese way. And I believe it's more than just the art style and the animation style, but it's also in terms of the storytelling,
Mhm.
and also the sort of values and virtues that they uphold. Personally, I have been deeply influenced by the medium ever since I was a child, and it holds a dear place in my heart. And as we all know right now, it has strong international appeal. Dare I say, it's the fastest growing form of animation in terms of audience share right now. No, so that's my 2 cents on the matter.
I agree. All right, the man in red.
No, for me it's basically the same thing. Anything that is animated by the Japanese for me, as long as it's made by the Japanese, at least it's just my limited definition of what anime should be. But basically, it's just anything animated by the Japanese. But that's just me.
Okay, so we've defined that, and that's clear. Because all anime are cartoons, but not all cartoons, of course,
Or anime.
are
That's right.
anime. Now, I'm curious. Would you guys still remember your very first anime, and how did that make you feel when you were watching it back then?
Mm.
Yes,
No,
absolutely.
you first, Lawrence. You first. Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. So yeah, I definitely remember. I don't remember the single first, but I remember like easily the first three or five.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that I vividly remember, like first time I ever saw them on TV. Of course, classic for us Filipinos, Voltes 5.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Huge mecha fan, if it wasn't obvious.
Yep, the
Love
shirt says it all.
Thank you, thank you. I love giant robot anime. Like it's my that's how I met Franz actually. So, but we'll get to that later. Um, so Voltes 5, Akazukin Chacha, or Red Hooded Chacha, for those who don't understand Japanese. Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, Slam Dunk.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the ones that I first remembered, like when turning on the TV, showing in GMA7, if I'm not mistaken, for some of them, and some in ABS. So, yeah, those were easily the first ones that I remember actually seeing ever in my life.
How about you, friends?
Well, I was born in the 80s, 1982 to be exact. So when I was a kid, my dad would bring home these Betamax recorded anime from Taiwan.
Yay,
Yeah,
Betamax.
not just in Taiwan, but in Hong Kong as well. So everything had the Mandarin subtitles in it, and I remember that I couldn't understand a lot of what they were saying back then because I was just 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But the very first animated movie that I actually watched is Gundam. So it's
Okay.
Shark's Counterattack, Yakushu no Sha. And actually, that's why the new Gundam is my favorite of all time for me. And then, as we slowly progressed in mecha anime, he introduced me to a lot of things, Machine Robo, and then of course the Toei stuff. So there's
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and as I progressed to the '90s, that's where Yu Yu Hakusho came in. I think it Ghost Fighter, right, yeah, Ghost Fighter and all that. But most of my love is for robots. Mecha is my favorite genre, after all.
There you go.
Same.
I haven't heard the word Betamax used in a sentence for the longest time. But on a side note, would you remember if Betamax had a PAL-SECAM and an NTSC version? Because I know for VHS there is. I don't think there was, right?
I don't think there was. Yeah, not that I remember at least. My dad, he's a completionist. We have video 8, we even have VHS, even the laser disc and the
Oh
mini
God,
disc. He
yes.
had everything.
Wow, wow,
He
wow,
was
wow.
such a cinephile. Yeah.
There you go.
Mhm.
What do you think draws animes to consumers? I mean, is it only because of our affinity as Asians that makes it accessible to us Filipinos?
Oh, I want to hear what Lawrence has to say about that.
Yeah, by default, it's gonna be Lawrence first and then France.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like we have our system now.
Pahirapan natin si Lawrence.
Yeah, pahirapan natin siya.
Oh, you guys are so bad.
Well, we
So,
haven't even started yet.
well, anyway, what you said about the Asian affinity that definitely helps because if I'm not mistaken, anime is strongest here, no. Uh, but as we're seeing right now, and I'm in the entertainment industry as a producer, right? So, animation producer working with our chamber of commerce and our how you say our local government to promote and
Mhm.
develop the industry sa Cebu, no. So um, I got to talk with people all over the world. One time I was able to go to a foreign, actually one of the biggest uh, animation festivals, if in fact the number one animation festival in the planet, called Annecy. It was online. It was like their online festival, but I was invited. I was given a special pass. Um, this is where everybody sells their shows. Now, why am I mentioning this? Animation producers from all over the world go there to sell their shows to networks, streaming platforms, etc. Now, how does this relate to the question? I talked with a guy from Greece.
Okay.
Greece, huh? And you could imagine
Mykonos
Greece.
or
So
Mykonos.
there we go. The guy I think lives near Athens. I forgot the exact place he lives in, but the guy is from Greece. We got to talk. I was looking for an animation partner for my original show, and then yeah, I was talking with studios. He was apparently part of. He's apparently the head of the largest animation studio in Greece. And you could imagine the Greeks, with their rich history and culture, the birthplace of Western philosophy and all that. They'd have such, they did. You'd think that they are so set on their own entertainment and art and all that, right? But I told them I want to make an anime, etc., etc., and then the guy started geeking out of the blue. Oh, I love anime! And then when I heard that, wait, what?
But you're not Asian. How can you love anime?
And then I went, we're PC here, right? So,
I know. I'm just kidding.
so anyway, but I was surprised. I was like, what? Really? And I was like, what's popular there? Oh, you name it, One Punch Man, Bleach. I can't do a Greek accent, so sorry. Sorry, Greeks out there. So, so he was telling me, and then he told me they have huge cosplay events and anime conventions in Greece. So in the areas near the temples and the ancient monuments, they would be wearing Dragon Ball cosplay and all that. I was shocked to hear that. And they're also into like 70s mecha anime.
Mm.
I was so surprised to hear that. And, I think for those who know, South America has a strong, like Dragon Ball is like a national phenomenon in South America. And then in America, well, wow, that's the largest, perhaps the single largest Western market for anime right now, and I've heard stories from my friends, I have my brother has a lot of friends, online friends from the US and like that, and he's telling me that even amongst the youth right now, like anime is starting to get even super popular in the States, and even some in certain regions even has more viewership than even certain cartoons, no? So it's very interesting to see the appeal. And I guess to go straight to the question, like what's the appeal of anime, no? I think for one, it's the kind of stories you can see in the medium are more varied, for one. You have that mix of those cutesy eyes with the realistic bodies. It has this effect on you, and then when you see it, and then the kinds of stories and the heart that you see in the medium, it's something really beautiful and something that could be moving. You could have a sexy, horny harem anime for one end, and then you could have something that'll rip your heart apart like Grave of the Fireflies, so it's such a diverse medium. And I think an anime YouTuber I watched once before said it best. I forgot the name of the YouTuber, but he said there's at least one show for anyone in the world in the medium. I think that's the thing in the Japanese, the way they handle things and constantly improving their art and and being so sincere with their storytelling and the heart in the story. I think that's what drives people to it, even from all sorts of cultures, even beyond Asia. So sorry if that was long-winded, but
No. That's all right. That's all right. We love long answers. How about you, Iron Man?
No, for me, I agree with the diversity of the topics on, anime as a genre for me, they actually are no holds barred. So I mean, back in my day, when I watched cartoons, especially the ones from America, I don't see the kind of like the gratuitous violence that
Hmm.
anime had. Yeah, I mean, like I was exposed to violent anime as early as 6 years old, thanks to Gundam, right? So, yeah, I do agree that. Well, aside from the fact that anime in itself, for us Asians, has this established identity, so I think it's more than just a cultural norm for
Hmm.
people like us. But I would like to think that anime was able to break some of the stereotypes and barriers that, in my opinion, what the Western animated shows like refuse to budge on.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like if I remember correctly, there are some limitations on what you can and you can't do in a children's show, and some of those aspects remain to this day. So, like for instance, if it's a Saturday weekend or a 5 p.m. slot, or perhaps a Saturday morning cartoon slot, you need to follow certain rules. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
certain
the main
guidelines.
characters,
Right.
yeah, right. I know, right? Like, so the main character shouldn't die, or like, and anything that is violent needs to be toned down or censored out. I mean, even back in the 90s for Sailor Moon, if I remember correctly, Sailor Uranus and Neptune, if I remember correctly, they were censored to be cousins, right? If
Correct.
I remember correctly, yeah, but they were lovers. Come on, we all know that.
And if you live in the
Yes.
South, down the bayou, you know what happens between cousins, but we're not going to go there.
That's what the Southern guys do. No, yeah, but I mean, like, if I believe that those that's why those two characters are some of my favorites in Sailor Moon, because they broke so many barriers. And come on, when you see Sailor Uranus with all of the rose petals and woo, and they do that. Oh my God, that's hot. And yeah, you really can't. You can't make them into cousins, seriously. Yeah, so it's basically about all of the record breaking, the barriers and all that, and that's what I believe anime has achieved. And at least for me, that's why I think that the newer ones like Avatar,
Hmm.
right? I mean, they are called what should I say, anime based.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Anime.
so now we have these more mature themes. So I like to think that anime was crucial in evolving the medium, if that makes sense.
Right. You guys are right about breaking barriers. And I remember when I finally finished watching Voltus 5, I was just shaking my head and saying, "This is not for kids." The
Mm-hmm.
themes that they explored is so not for kids. But of course, when we were watching it as kids, we didn't know any better. And but glad that we're able to see that now. And there's a new incarnation that's being done. I'm not sure when the exact day of screening is, but we've seen that ad, and we've also seen the cast members for GMA7 with regards to Voltus 5. And I know that they have taken liberties with regards to the storytelling to make it more, accessible to Filipinos. Probably they just felt that the viewership, with regards to age bracket, might not take it too well, and they have to change
Right.
something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will only know what they've changed once they've started, broadcasting. And that's also probably the same reason why we naturally gravitated towards other content that's Japanese, but not anime, but this time with live action monsters like like Godzilla, Rodan, and others. In my introduction, Lawrence, I said that you were the committee chairman for creative entertainment industries. Can you tell us exactly what is the goal of being a committee chairman, and how long have you been chairman? Or was the creative entertainment industries born out of your work and contribution to the entertainment scene in Cebu with regards to animation and original content?
Thank you very much for that. Well, the typical thing about being okay, so CBM stands for Cebu Business Month or Business Months now
Mhm.
because it's all months. It's a program in the chamber where we highlight the different industries in Cebu because the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry represents all industries in the island.
Okay.
So my father and I campaigned with the chamber to how you say um, push and develop the creative entertainment industry.
Mhm.
Now, typically, the term of a committee chairman is just only for 1 year. So
Okay.
technically, my term should have finished last year. However, and I'm not sure why. I guess they like me. They reinstated me again for this year, 2023. So I'm back. I have one more year as chairman. Now, typically, the typical role is just to propose events and programs in the Cebu Business Month. And of
Mhm.
course, the goal of these events is to promote and push the respective industry you are assigned to. So in
Okay.
my case, I represent creative entertainment. Um, and the way we define creative entertainment in Cebu is animation, comics, video games, original content, film, theater, music,
All right.
and the performing arts. And this is also connected to painting as well. That's how we define creative entertainment.
You
And
guys
we're
cover a
pushing.
lot.
Everything basically.
Yep. True.
eh,
True.
you need to kasi it's not being represented, it's not being supported by any large official body.
Mhm.
If I don't push it to be done that way, then who will? No, there have been attempts, but they all burned out very quickly. So because there's such a huge opportunity and such a great opportunity, and rather potential in the industry. So we want to push that, and we have a lot of creatives in Cebu who just need a shot, you know.
Mhm.
So getting back
I
to what
agree.
the thank you. So getting back to the how you say the responsibilities. It's really originally just to propose events and programs, but I wanted to use my position to go further than that. So I really did what I could as that chairman to push events, all kinds of events and initiatives to kickstart the industry. One that we did, and in light of the fact that we were talking about a lot on anime, right? So um, one program that we did, it's technically not within my purview, but I did it anyway because I had the in with the chamber and I had the authority. I proposed a trade mission to Japan last year in
Okay.
June. So a trade mission, if for those who are not aware, it's basically a diplomatic mission. You know, like how you have ambassadors and like that, but that's more for political reasons and for like inter-nation relationship.
Mhm.
A trade mission is business people going to a foreign land to establish potential business partnerships and collaboration. It's more for commerce. And this trade mission we did last year, we went to Japan late June, early July, was to connect with the entertainment industry of Japan because of our push to develop creative entertainment in Cebu. Because we saw how Japan is perhaps one of the strongest leaders, at least for animation, they're the number one leader in Asia, right? So, and then also for video games. So we thought, we want to connect with them. And
Mhm.
also, the number one favorite animation digital media amongst all the youth in Cebu, perhaps even throughout the entire country, is anime. So we thought, okay, there's an opportunity here. Everybody wants to do anime in Cebu. Let's connect with the masters themselves. And we went there to Japan. and we met all sorts of studios. We met Kadokawa, the guys who did Your Name and Weathering with You, and
Hmm.
Konosuba, and countless other titles. We met Bandai Namco Filmworks, which I think we all know better as Sunrise. The guys who made Gundam, Code Geass, Gao Gaigar, they animated Voltes 5. So uh, we got to meet the masters talaga, the top studios. We went there and we met them in an event called Content Tokyo. Imagine
Wow.
a trade show.
Yeah, yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
like CJ. Imagine a trade show, right? But instead of car parts or food, it's licensing the licenses and rights for anime, for manga, for characters. Oh, you want to get the Goku for your T-shirt line? Okay, this is how much the license costs.
Licensing. Yeah.
That must have been an experience, if not quote unquote hashtag heaven for you. Uh,
Oh, you have no idea.
yeah,
Because I was geeking out. This was a
yeah,
business event, no? And
right, right.
I was like acting like a fan. And the thing about the Japanese, which most people don't know, huh? They love fans. They love their fans. And you talk to them as a fan in a business setting because they don't expect it. They don't expect to meet a fan in a business conference.
Hmm.
They're talking about numbers. Okay, how much can I get your license? Blah blah blah. When I went approach them for business and showed them I'm a fan from abroad, that's a big deal for them. They
Mm.
lighten
Yeah.
up. They talk to you in a nice way. So it was an experience that I'm gonna keep in my heart for the rest of my days for
And
sure.
something that you would love to, I'm sure, something that you would love also to do locally in Cebu, if the opportunity, presents itself. Not just probably for anime, but also for original content that's being done in Cebu, right? France, we've known each other for a while now, and one of the things that you've done in the past was, as I mentioned earlier on, was also being a game translator and tester for Level Up Games. From that stint, I was wondering, how do you think that experience will help you shape this new animation project that you
Well,
call Solemn Vow?
well, in that job, I mean, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm not gonna lie, it was stressful as hell. It really came to the point that, when I would go home and I wouldn't even touch my own video games because, I've been looking at video games all day.
Hmm.
We've been bug testing. We're even doing a walkthrough, in fact. And basically, almost all of them are in Korean, Chinese, and Japanese. I mean, that time I couldn't read Hangul, so Korean is like, squares and boxes to me that time, 2009. But during that time, because one of my job was to translate the game, and I need to write a walkthrough for them. So
Hmm.
basically, whenever you play a game, you need to write down how are you supposed to do this, what quests you're supposed to do. Then you need to document them and submit it to your boss so that they would give it to their bosses, aka the guys who are gonna buy the game, to publish here in the Philippines. And oh my god, that no, for one thing's for sure, that job really taught me to be so patient because I mean, like, I'm pretty sure patience is a universal virtue. I mean, that's what they always say in the mummy, right? Like, patience is a virtue, and all that stuff. Yeah, but you know, it can be different in many aspects, but it all is the same when you go down to the bare bones aspect of it. You need to be very patient, and you need to have I forgot what the English word for it, yung discarte. What's the English word for that again?
Oh,
Swagger.
No, no. I mean, like, you need
minsan,
to do, yeah, you need to
yeah,
do things yourself, your own way. Initiative, there you go. you need to have a lot of initiative in doing, and you need to be more creative as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you need to be on your toes. You need to be very uh, upfront in everything that you do, because when you're dealing with a medium such as a video game, you cannot whisk your way around, because we're dealing with code here. So and basic coding is like if then else, if this is this, then is that.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot say that anime is directly the same, but it is similar in such a way that you need to make sure that you need to filter out all the BS. And believe me, there's a lot of that. Especially, so yeah, it all boils down to hard work and patience.
That's
You need
right.
to have a lot of
I
that.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Whether
But
it
I
be
mean,
anime
yeah,
or any industry that you're in, you
yeah,
really
that's
need
right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, really good things really do take time. So yeah, it's about the progress, not perfection. So I mean, like, if you cannot wait, I mean, then you'll probably end up burning to the ground doing so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you need to I'm not saying that you need to take everything slow or take your time, because there are times that you really need to do, this is where your problem solving and crisis management skills come in. But uh, you still need to make sure that everything works. I mean, not everything is going to work the way you want it to. So the test is, what are you going to do if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to?
Yeah.
It's a big test of your character.
And in the time that you
And
want it as well.
exactly. And believe me, you will not always get what you want, especially in this endeavor. So, y- I mean, you really need to be a lot more mature to do this job. You shouldn't be, complaining and doing all tantrums that this thing doesn't go your way, because a lot of times it won't.
Mm-hmm.
It really won't.
That's
So
true.
it's all
That's true.
about, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I was, prior to us talking today, there were some videos I saw online about, motivational speech, and there was like this 10-year-old kid who, or that was before she's 10. She's probably 16 now. She was a CEO, and she was an entrepreneur, and it's like, wow, you start early. You know what you want earlier on. Lucky for you, but wish we were like that when we were that age. But nonetheless, sidetracking. Was there a point in the conception when you guys were toying with the possibility of adapting an established franchise instead of developing one from the ground up? And I was wondering what made you decide to start from scratch instead and create something that's totally original.
Well, I'll answer that. Being the creator of Solemn Vow, here's the funny thing. Uh, this thing started as a fan fiction.
Hmm. Nice.
This
Okay.
originally started as a fan fiction, and this is actually in relation to how I met Franz. Um, I can elaborate more later on this if we have time, but
I have it
to
at the back.
there we go, there we
Do you
go.
want me to show it?
Uh,
Do you want me to show it?
which one, sir?
The thing, how it started.
Like how we met? Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that one. Show it when I give you the signal. That one's in step 3 of the journey. Step
Okay.
1,
I wonder what that item is.
you'll see. You'll
Anyway.
see.
Okay.
Suspense.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so to make the long saga in the beginning short, because the beginning was very long. um, it all started from me being a geek. I'm a PlayStation kid.
Hmm.
I've had PlayStation from 1 to 4. I'm waiting until they release the PS5 Slim eventually before I get that. So because all my PlayStations are the Slim models, with the exception of the 4, which I got the Pro. So anyway, video game talk aside. It started with me being a geek and loving anime, loving video games. I just covered Japanese crossover strategies, a RPG franchise called Super Robot Wars or Super Roboto Taisen. That inspired me hugely. Helped me discover more mecha anime and more anime in general. That then inspired me to connect with my fellow fans, which is how I met Franz. Again, I'll elaborate more if we have time. And then from there, it inspired me further to make fan fiction. My first fan fictions were just crossover stories of my favorite robot shows. Then later on, after that, I made another fan fiction because from at that point, the Marvel Cinematic Universe started. So I wrote another fan fiction in 2008 after watching the first Iron Man. This time around, it was a weird fan fiction because I crossed over everything you could think of: Marvel Comics, Soul Calibur, World of Warcraft. It was very fantasy based. But then, unlike my previous fan fiction, I made original lore and original characters, which I never did before. The other ones, the most I did was probably an original robot derived from an existing robot. In my previous fan fiction, but this one I created, being it was a fantasy, there were original gods, original characters with original backstories that were intertwined with the IPs I tried to put in the fan fiction. So sort of like a Smash Brothers or a Super Robot Wars type thing, but with fantasy characters. I was then suggested to my father. I was rather suggested by my father. Lawrence, you have something cool there, no? Pero you won't be able to do anything with it if you're going to use the characters with existing IP, because you will have to get the license from the IP holder, etc., etc. Why don't you focus on creating something original?
Okay.
And then that stuck with me. So I took all the original elements of that fan fiction and created an original world around them. All the original characters, all the original gods, or the original lore, I then created my own world. And then from there, I then decided to create a comic book of that, of which I have published the first issue. Issue number 1 was published in Cebu. It was self-published. That's your cue, Franz.
So proud of you.
Wait, I need to get a copy of that first issue.
I don't think they're in circulation anymore, are they?
But I have extra copies here in Cebu. I can give you next time we see each other.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. I would be more than happy to buy it from you, not give.
You honor me, man. So,
Here, let me magically produce that for you.
thank you, sir. So while Franz is getting the comic, so it started there. I actually shared in my Facebook one time. We printed the very first version of the comic in little, those the very cheap brown paper.
Yeah.
With the printing that's almost like ash.
Yeah, that's right.
I forgot the type of printing but it's super cheap. The one that they would the one that they would sometimes print like the prayers in church sometimes or something like that.
Yeah. Missalettes and all that. Yeah, that kind of paper and that kind of printing. That's right.
Yeah, like that.
That's something that's akin to silk screen with regards to t-shirt. Yeah, on that kind of level. There you are.
We started from that, then eventually we made this one. Now,
there you go. Franz is showing it off. Oo na, may kopya ka na.
Oh, nah, yeah. It's really thick.
Now, the comic we created was called Strange Years. I tried to make a comic series from that. We only printed issue 1. I tried to do the succeeding chapters, and we have drafts up to chapter 5. I have
Mm-hmm.
pencil drafts and the sequences and the storyline there. We actually even had an entire run's worth of storytelling, like easily enough for 100 issues. But sadly, I was not able to find a stable enough production team to pursue the whole thing. So there, so that's so we made that, and then from this comic, I was sort of okay. How do I push this forward? I was thinking of looking for investors because I couldn't hold find a stable enough team to finish it because I can't draw. I cannot draw. I can write a bit only in terms of like the overall plot, the lore, the structure, the
Mm-hmm.
world. But I can't draw, so I needed to find an artist. So I tried to look for partners and investors. And then one day I talked to a very dear friend of mine from Singapore, who's a very, very accomplished film producer. I pitched the comic to him once before. I was even thinking of going into service work, like outsourcing for comics and stuff. And then my friend in Singapore, his name is Jin Kai Chan, a wonderful man, who
Whom I've
happens to be
also
one of
met.
indeed, and who is he's also one of our producers in the show. Um, he suggested, Lawrence, why don't you turn your comic into an animation? That was 2018, 10 years after I conceptualized the IP in the first place, and then from there, I retooled and rehashed
And reshaped.
what reshaped the characters and lore in that comic into what is now Solemn Vow in development. The characters are still the same in terms of name and personality, but their designs are very different. I think you can already tell from the cover art right here compared to the production guide that we shared with you, CJ, that they are
Yes.
very different.
Yeah, they're very very different. That's right. I mean, character wise, the way that it's drawn, the one that France is holding up is definitely more anime looking. But for the production guide, let me just hold it up for those people you know who would want to see it. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm blurring my
compared.
background. Yeah, it's anime. It's anime inspired, but the drawing is definitely not purely anime. Wise. But prior to talking today, I feel so lucky to have been given and shared this production guide, and everyone else has been given a glimpse into the scheme of things. I mean, there was a teaser that you guys showed last year, wasn't it? Last year during was it ToyCon? Was it?
Cosplay Matsuri.
Okay,
Cosplay Mastery
cosplay. Yeah, right.
in
Um,
SMS Air more.
That's right. But apart from what the teaser gave us and getting into the meat of things, who would want to tell us or everyone what exactly is Solemn Vow?
Thank you, sir. So allow me to tell you what I can. I can't spoil it much because it's
Exactly.
but it's still under
Exactly. We would not want that. That we would want to just an overall concept of what it is.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, what do you call it? But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know that this is still in development.
Hmm.
There could be possibly some slight changes here and there as we move forward developing the show. But the core of the IP is this. It is the love story between a husband and wife who are struggling with their marriage and their family. And they fight each other with superpowers and magic. All of this set in a mystical fantasy world inspired by the ancient Philippines, specifically ancient Cebu. And these characters are superpowered mercenaries who lost their son. And they have their daughter left. The loss of their son drove a wedge between them, and they split apart from there. And then they were hired as mercenaries by these two kingdoms
Hmm.
to fight on opposite sides of this grueling war.
Okay.
So basically, think Mr. and Mrs. Smith combined with Dragon Ball.
There you go. Okay, that pitch is going to work. That's for sure. That is going to work.
Family drama. Hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's the same kind of pitch that you're going to be pitching to Hollywood executives when you get to talk to them. But
Yes, spill the tea. Spill the
there
tea
you
now.
go. There you go. But I was wondering, were there other titles in mind for the show before you decided to call it Solemn Vow?
Yes. Um, they the I was thinking of just using the old title of the comic book, Strange Years, at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I considered a title called Red Hammer, which was related to their um, to an organization they were that the couple was part of. But I was advised by one of our creatives that the name Red Hammer has very how you say negative political connotations. Let's just say that.
Uh-huh, that's right. That's
uh,
right.
yeah, if
We do not want Natasha Romanov knocking on your door and telling you to
Yeah.
so,
redesign
so
everything. But okay.
there we go. So we wanted to avoid that. So and I then we settled with Solemn Vow because it's all about vows. You know, the marriage, the loyalty to family,
Mm-hmm.
and to your job, to your oaths and everything. And um, there was a time that I was concerned if the title was going to work. Some people are saying to me, "Oh, it sounds like a romance novel, some $5 romance novel or something." So, and I was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But when I talked to my producers, they told me that the name is perfectly fine, and it perfectly encapsulates the heart and core of the IP. Because not to go into spoiler territory, this story is built on the bonds that connect us as people. I want to create a saga that will talk about family and friendships and the things that connect us as people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell it in a action fantasy setting. Because I find that a little bit more interesting because the over the top explosive action can also mirror the explosive emotions that you feel in these human connections. So and 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 I also went with that idea because how many IPs can you think of in an action setting
Yeah.
that 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 stars a family? I can only count by hand Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Incredibles, The Recent Spy Family. Love that show. Um, Others, the family are just in the sidelines. If you're lucky, they're probably supporting characters.
Mhm.
Uh,
I can imagine why that would probably be the reason why you decided that the married couple be the prime movers of the story, and not the kids.
yes.
And would that be also close to saying that that's also one of the reasons why you stayed away from the chosen one tropes, that led you to decide on it should be the married couple and not the kids. Tama na yung chosen one tropes because Star Wars did that, Harry Potter did that, and all other franchises did that. We've been touching on the word IP, and we both know what it means. But for those who do not, IP means intellectual property. Okay, so
Yeah.
for the again for those who would really want to be particular about the terminology and why we use that. So IP is intellectual property. So for all creatives out there, whatever it is that you've written, you've drawn, you've composed, that is yours, whether it's legally copyrighted or not. From the day of creation, that is your intellectual
Definitely
property.
property.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Bibo
Yes, sir.
Abang.
So,
Sorry, sorry, to interrupt.
so no. Thank you for that. Sorry, I get when I start talking, it's hard for me to stop sometimes. So,
No. That's okay. That's okay. I'm also happy with regards to the logo of the show. I mean, you have the name Solemn Vow. There's a Japanese there are Japanese characters under there, which I assume is the Japanese translation of the title, which is Solemn Vow. And you have two rings there, golden rings, which represent the marriage, and they're interlocked. And yeah, it does all fit well into the structure, into the core of the show that you're to try and establish.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Indeed. Mm,
Yeah, go
go
ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I was just about to say that because like the comment you said, the chosen one, all that. Yeah, I wanted to veer away from that completely. Um, they are special in their own way. They're not your regular superpowered people in the world's context, but I wanted to play on the idea of because here's the thing about their backstories. This one I can probably reveal a bit, a
Okay.
tiny bit. So, audience, you're lucky you'll get to know a tiny bit about their backstories.
Just a tiny bit.
So, these guys were heroes before getting married. My
Mm.
con, my plan and concept for their backstories is their backstories is your super typical shonen manga plot. This group of heroes fights the demon lords and beats him. That's the idea. It's supposed to feel like your super typical shonen plot.
Hmm.
And then at the end, the characters get married, sort of like Naruto and Hinata in Naruto, right? So it's like that, their backstory. Solemn Vow is what happens after,
Right.
but you focus on Naruto and Hinata rather than Boruto. But I'm not, but I'm not going to go into that too much. So that's the idea. What happens if the happily ever after was destroyed?
Okay, I like that, and I take it that what attracts you to the story would be more for the characters than just simply the plot, or a perfect balance of the two.
I want to balance the two, but for me, it leans more towards the struggle of the couple. The the war that will happen as of the current version of the show, of course, as we develop it. Um, I view it more as a backdrop,
Okay.
something mirroring something an outward situation that mirrors their internal conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the first and foremost, the core is the struggle of the family because you know these star-crossed lovers, this husband and wife, even amidst being in deep odds against each other, literally in opposite sides of a war, they still deeply love each other, and deep down they want to get back together, and that's also the wish of their daughter. The child caught in the middle. When you feel that lonely, painful feeling when you see your parents fight, she just wants her mama and papa to get back together. That's really all she wants in the end.
Mhm. All right. If you don't mind, I just want to do a little run through of who the characters are in Solemn Vow, or at least the on the surface. The backdrop that you said is this warring, these two warring nations. One is called Zubu, and the other one is Matam. Zubu is the more progressive, cosmopolitan kingdom, and Matam is the more mystical and the more Eastern and philosophical nation. And the two characters that are playing the star-crossed lovers, one is Seth.
Yes.
He's the guy, and Leah is the wife. Ellie is the daughter. And I also love that you have terms for your creatures here. You have a creature here whose name is Baron, but he is a Smilo dog. So what is that? Because he smiles a lot. What do you mean,
Well,
Smilo dog?
he's a very cheerful creature, definitely. He's actually inspired by our family golden retriever,
There you are.
who passed away many many years ago, sadly. But
Oh,
he was a bundle of joy. Even when he grew up, he was always just like this big puppy, as all retrievers are, right? Very energetic,
oh
loyal.
yeah. Right, right.
So, Byron was the name of the golden retriever. I created that character to help immortalize him as a tribute.
Nice.
And then Smilodog is a portmanteau.
Mantel.
If
It's
Yes,
a
I'm
portmanteau.
portmanteau.
if
Mhm.
I'm if I'm using, thank you. I'm not
Mm.
good at semantics, so it's a portmanteau of Smilodon and dog. Smilodon being the ancient saber-toothed cat. I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
fan. My first love before all this anime media stuff was ancient creatures like dinosaurs and reptiles. Actually, I wanted to be a herpetologist at one point. I wanted to be like Brady Barr or Steve Irwin, to have a show in National Geographic or Discovery Channel. That was my old dream. Anyway,
Oh, we'll subscribe to that when you decide to do it.
maybe, maybe. Uh, a geek goes to the wild, something like that.
There you go. Yeah, that'll be a new show for you once Solemn Vow takes off. We also
Thank
have
you.
another creature that's called Cowl. His name is actually Duke, but his species is called Cowl. As geeks, when we hear the word Cowl, it's automatically associated with Batman and other superheroes who have a similar way of wearing their costume. That's why it's called Cowl, because he's a creature that has the head of a cat and the body of an owl.
Correct.
Any other thoughts? Any thoughts on how you decided uh, to create a creature that's called Cowl?
Yes, the Duke,
There
our
you are. There's the
mascot.
drawer. Thank you, Franz, for the
He's
drawing.
Thank you, Franz, for that. So he's our mascot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cowl. We wanted to do a double meaning type thing with that. So of course, cat owl, and this one I'm willing to spoil for your audience. He actually can combine with Seth and form a cowl and wings for him. So Duke
Ah,
gives Seth the ability to fly.
to fly.
So he will
Okay.
combine with him and they'll form wings and then a hood. So
Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Believe me, I hated it the first time I heard it. But it's like, holy grass. And
and
yeah,
and
it, mhm.
just to give proper credit, it's not completely my idea. You'd have to thank my writer, Jonathan Guillermo of Overmind. He came up with a
Mm,
character initially because
okay,
the first mascot character I thought of initially was supposed to be a sentient hammer,
okay.
which I called Hamlet. Hammer Hamlet. So that was my original idea. It was completely panned by my producers. So
Yeah, we're glad that you stuck it out with Duke. We're happy.
yeah,
I'm seeing licensing possibilities with Duke. Duke stuffed toys, Duke, Duke
precisely.
Funkos even, and all that. So hello Funko.
Yes, sir. So
um,
we're
yeah,
very happy with Duke. I'm so happy that our writer came up with him, and he's been a beloved part of the project ever since conception. Though
right.
he is the most recent character to have
Okay.
been created. He was not created alongside the others. The oldest characters there are Seth, Leah, and Baron. The other
Mm-hmm.
ones came later as we made adjustments and developments in the story. Duke is
Okay.
actually one of the most recent additions.
Which is a perfect addition to this. You need to, of course, appeal to the kids. It being an animation, there has to be a mascot there somewhere.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
if there's a mascot, there probably should also be a femme fatale that's named Gamhalan, and who leads the cult of the Bakunao. She's drawn perfectly to a T for me. Someone who you get attracted to and at the same time makes you think, or if not rethink, your decision to pursue her any further.
Yes.
Immediately upon seeing the drawing, I don't know. I don't know. This is for me. I just immediately thought Bond girl, bad
Oh,
Bond girl.
yeah.
Yeah. So I know I'm sidetracking, but I don't know. Speaking of Bond, let me just get off topic and ask you if you have a favorite Bond girl, whether it be a heroine or a villainess.
I don't have any in particular, but I like the because I haven't watched too many Bond films, just a handful. But I really liked Halle Berry in
Mm-hmm.
the Pierce Brosnan one. I really like that.
Ah,
I
Okay.
forgot which movie was that.
That's
Was it
Die
tomorrow?
Another Day.
Tomorrow
Die
Never
Another Day.
Die Another Day. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. How about you, France? Any favorite Bond girl?
Frankie Jensen, Golden Eye.
Ah, of course,
Mm.
Xenia
Sino
Onata.
pa ba?
Yeah, Xenia Onata from Golden Eye.
Mm.
That's true. Mine would be Michelle Yeoh for Tomorrow Never Dies. Xenia is also in the list.
Mm.
Jill Masterson from Goldfinger is also in there. Iconic but tragic.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
my looking back now, I think childhood crush, Doctor Goodhead
Oh,
from Moonraker,
excellent
played by the
choice. Mm.
lovely Lois Childs. They say that you have to have a good villain in order to have to further highlight your hero. And since I,
Mhm.
I kind of like touched upon Bond and layo, diba? We're talking about anime and animation. Then I just go off veering off to a different franchise altogether. But would you happen to have a favorite Bond villain?
No, actually, the word bond is very closely related to Gamharan, actually.
There you are. Yeah,
Mm.
which we will not spoil.
No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't. Yeah.
Mm, well, let's see.
No, I
Hmm.
don't think that would that constitute as a spoiler. I don't think so, naman. It's just a foundation of the character, right?
Well, I can
Well,
tell you this.
she's the high priestess. That's all I want to say. And
I can
Mm-hmm.
tell
I
you
mean,
this
I
much about. I can tell you this much about her personality at least.
Oh,
there
there
you
you
Uh,
go.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
because
what we
I
want.
read the synopsis and the arc, so I don't want to go into detail and all that. But you know,
Yeah, all good, all good. I think I can mention this much at least. Okay, so the thing about her shtick, if you will. Um, so I can tell you the reasoning behind her conceptualization and why we made her the way she was. No,
hmm
we wanted, of course, a female villain for one. We wanted to change it up a bit. So number one, we wanted a female villain, and well, historically in Philippine legend and lore, the magic people in our ancient tribes were women typically.
hmm
So I wanted to play on that. And then her personality, we wanted someone hot
okay,
and someone
Ara. Mm.
uh, with a because I want this show to be as much as possible super legit anime. So the
Mm.
art style may even go through some revisions as we go forward. But we want this to be super legit anime, and I'm very familiar with the tastes of our fellow degenerates out there. So,
Me
so
included. Me
hello
included.
degenerates.
Mm.
Okay,
Proud degenerate here. Mm.
fellow weebs and
Mm.
degenerates out there. I know we wanted to have.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking in the past tense, degenerated. So
So, we wanted someone to have a if for anime fans out there, anybody in the audience, I bet you know the ara ara thing with the
Ara, ara. Yeah.
with the One-chan or big sister type characters. And I also wanted someone who exuded a step on me mommy type.
okay,
uh,
yeah. There you go.
so she is going to have somewhat of a sadistic dominatrix appeal to her.
Oh
And
yeah,
while
I get it. I get it.
mm,
Yeah, that's why Bond, right? That's why the Bond thing makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does.
complete with manslave.
Mm. Yeah, make it me na lang. Ako na lang. Pwede pa. Mm. Mm.
Moving right along with the list of characters, you also included the Bakunawa. This is a creature that's greatly part of our own folklore. I'm happy that you have it there. But for those in debate of what exactly the Bakunawa is, it's I read somewhere that it's believed to be originally two words. So it's a compound word that means bent and snake. So there are different interpretations. Some of them would prefer to have it just a serpent with no wings. Some would have wings on it and all that. I'm glad that you have a singular horn sprouting from its from the crown of its snout, which is the best accurate description of what exactly it should look like. Um, any Was there a decision to include another mythological creature apart from the Bakunawa, or you're okay for now with just having one there?
Well, I can tell you this much. The Bacchanal is sort of the big bad, the central creature that will appear,
Mm-hmm.
and that will be the super main one. There will be we intend to
Mm-hmm.
portray other mythical creatures throughout the story because this is a series, so we'll have time to show them in probably the background or maybe in a few fight scenes. I have plans to include the Capre, the
Nice.
Tikbalan, all sorts, because we really wanted to lean on and push the usage of Philippine mythology here.
Mhm.
And in fact, and the Baconawa there, it's interesting that you meant. Thank you for mentioning all those things about its design. This is not how it's typically depicted, actually, in
Yeah.
at least in local media. Because here's the funny thing about the Bakunawa, and I think this is a little interesting trivia that most people don't know. The Bakunawa is only viewed as a serpent in Luzon.
Hmm.
In the
Okay.
Visayas and Mindanao, it's a fish or an eel.
There you are.
So we wanted to put those fish-like aspects to its design to, sort of pay homage to the Visayan and Mindanao depictions of it. And the
Mm-hmm.
horn and head design, thank you for pointing that out also. It's actually inspired by the Naga of Southeast Asia. Because I wanted to play on that because the belief of the Bakunawa as a serpent, historians believe that we got that belief because it sort of migrated from Southeast Asia all the way to us.
Mm-hmm.
The belief of these mystical skyborn sea serpents. No, so so we wanted to sort of have a combination of how the Bacanao is viewed in the Philippines and also pay homage to the Naga to help connect the creature with our Southeast Asian neighbors as well. So something that everyone in Southeast Asia can connect with. So that's what we wanted to do. So it's sort of our mix creature, our version of it, complete with eating the moon and everything. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. I'm sure, once this is out and once Solemn Vow takes off, I can imagine it, it hitting it big already. Will you be open to take on other original properties and giving it the adaptation that it needs?
well, definitely my plan and my dream and my goal is to become a producer.
Okay.
Uh, I really want to be a producer. That's really like
That's the
my
end goal.
the end goal. Yeah, the thing I want to sail off into the sunset with in my dying days. So I want to be a producer. I want to create animations. I want to give other creators eventually I want to give other creators the same opportunities and the same shot that I have now. Because
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I just started this journey as a random geek in Cebu. I was badly bullied as a kid, all,
Mm.
all the way from kindergarten up to college, and no one understood me until I met Franz and all of my other partners and friends in the business. I want to eventually do that for others. So I am very so sorry for another long-winded answer, but definitely I want to work with other IPs down the line. I have other though. I do also have other IPs that I'm developing in the background aside from Solemn Vow. I have other stories. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, I am very, very open and very interested to working with other stories and storytellers to help accomplish their anime dreams down the line also.
And I'm sure you're also not going to just limit it, from just us. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I mean, you can adapt international content for local audiences or vice versa. International content for international audiences
Mm.
as well, because it's a big market out there. and I can I wish you well, Lawrence, with the endeavors that you have there on your plate. And
Mhm.
creatives, I hope that you are up to the task of pitching your own work to Franz and to Lawrence when they begin looking for new stuff to work on. Who knows? Yours actually might be next, right?
Yeah.
Before we quickly wrap this up, I just got some quick fire questions for you all. I was wondering, what time of day do you feel most inspired?
Oh, okay. Mid late afternoon or late evenings, early morning.
Okay. How about you, Franz?
Late at night to early morning when I'm about to go to sleep, and that's
There
why
you
I
go.
hate it.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Mm.
Let's say if you could bring in a famous person to be involved with your current project, who would you pick?
Okay. This will be later on. I'll give you a tiny spoiler. Uh, there will be a storyline later on that will feature the parents of the main characters. Uh,
Okay.
they have very interesting backstories with their parents. So, be Leah being Chinese inspired, and I'm half Chinese personally as well. I always imagined that her mother would be similar. Well, I've always wanted that the voice actress of her mom, at least for the English version. I've
Hmm.
always played with the idea of. I always pegged it at Michelle Yeoh for
Okay. You can never go wrong with Michelle Yeoh.
Yep.
You
and
Mm.
then
can never
for
go wrong with her.
the father of Seth, I've always pegged it at Antonio Banderas because he's
Ah.
that sort of
Okay.
Espanol Spanish charm because Seth comes from a land inspired by Spain. So
All right.
Mm.
always
So
wanted.
we hopefully we won't see a talking pussycat wearing boots and
I
No,
mean, you could give him the idea. I mean, who knows, right?
no
yeah,
I would
yeah,
problem.
love, I would
yeah.
love to have a talking pussycat. Mm.
There you go.
Well, Duke talks. So
So in a way, yeah, that's
True. Yeah.
we'll
Mhm.
roll with that. How about you, France? If famous person involved in your own IP projects, who would you
Well,
love to?
well, for me, I have two in mind. First, it's Yuri Lowenthal. He's my favorite
Okay.
voice actor. And if we're talking about like acting, it's Sir Ian McKellen. I love
Who?
him to death.
Yes, Gandalf
Mm.
and Magneto. You can never go
I
wrong with
know,
those.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which creative or artist that is no longer with us would you want to bring back, and why?
Oh my God, that's kind of hard. Oh my God, yeah. I'll give Lawrence to answer that first, so I could think.
well, for a villain in the future, if ever if we wanted to bring back one who's departed already, I would have loved to have for the English dub. For the English dub, it would have been great to have had the late Chris Ayres or Christopher Ayres to
Hmm.
voice a character. For those who do not know, he was the recent voice of Frieza. In all the recent Dragon Ball dubs, he was Frieza. His Frieza is the mix of that perfect, eloquent, but super condescending guy that we both love and hate about the character. So for me, he was always the best Frieza. So it was such a horrible thing that his lung condition took him already. So I would have always wanted to have had a character voiced by him.
Okay. How about you, France?
Yeah, for me, it's Japanese, and Lawrence would know this guy very well. It's Aniki Mizuki Ichiro. Yeah, he passed away recently. He actually sang the song for Mazinger Z,
All right. There you
and
go.
he's the one who sang the ending song of Voltes 5.
All right. Yes, 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 he did.
Mhm.
Beverage of choice.
I'm drinking that right now. It's Coke.
Okay.
Um, Iced tea or any kind of fruit juice, but coconut water, I'll grab it anytime it's available.
Mm.
Okay, that's preferably spiked.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
my favorite, yeah,
If we're
it's
talking
Coke.
about
Yeah,
if we're talking about alcohol in specific, I love Baileys. I love Baileys.
yeah.
there you
For
go.
me, it's
Yep.
Cuba Libre, which is still Coke and lime, and it could be
Sake,
Jack and Coke. Yeah.
Of course, if
sake.
we tackle beverage, you have to have food of choice as well. I wouldn't be surprised if France would say anything Japanese.
Oh yeah, and steak for sure.
Yeah.
I
Japanese and steak. Mm.
I have a top three of my mainstays. Like these are I have a lot when it comes to food. It's really on what I feel, and I always have my go tos. But easy top three, any time of the day. Noodles, especially ramen.
Hmm.
Oh,
Fries is a weakness of mine. I just had McDonald's last night. A lot of McDonald's, and then pasta, especially
And pasta.
spaghetti, like tomato sauce spaghetti, like spaghetti alla puttanesca, like the tomato
mm.
stuff. I'm not really into the ones like meat, but like puttanesca or like
Arabiata.
yeah,
Mm.
I can't eat spicy sadly, but yeah,
Mm.
pasta, eat Asian noodles and fries. Those are
There you
Yeah.
go.
So to all the creatives out there, if you want your stuff turned into an anime, you know what to bribe Lawrence with.
Exactly. Yep. And we know what to bribe France with
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
just give me a medium steak. Mm.
There you go. My
Mm.
choices are rather odd. Beverage of choice will be coffee because we all need that.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's at night 9 p.m. onwards, I still feel the need to have that, and I will still be able to sleep. Food of choice for me is odd. It'll be onion rings, laing,
You lying.
laing, and France knows this because I always post this and share it with him. Danggit.
Oh yeah. God, I hate danggit.
when you come to Cebu, we have a district dedicated to tuyo or dried fish. There's a there's a public market in the downtown area of Cebu. It's an entire city block just full of dried fish.
Okay, sige. I will count you to give me the tour.
Yeah, pwede ka dyan. Ako, iwas na ako dyan.
It smells so bad, but you see so many people there.
There you go. I mean, fish aside, I mean, danggit is the only one that will do it for me. But for the other kinds of fish, I will leave that to the others. But danggit lang okay na ako. But thank you, Franz and Lawrence, for being with us today. We certainly look forward to the day when Solemn Vow airs, and when it does, we know that we will be talking about it, and we're going to be sharing it because the Philippines needs to know. I mean, the people everywhere out there needs to know the Philippines is a creative hub, and
Yes, we are.
we can create an IP that is world class, an IP that is accessible and relatable to viewers everywhere, regardless of social class, gender orientation, and all other parameters that have bound and ingrained our own creative spirit in. And any last words that you would want to words of advice that is for fellow creatives out there who are dreaming or creating their own IP, or possibly already in the middle of that journey and doing their own storyboarding of their own show.
This one I'll give to Franz first. He's the
Oh,
origin.
really? Really? You're giving it to
Us
me this time, huh?
we're passing it on to you because you're wearing red today.
Oh, fine. Sige na nga. Yeah.
And we're Chinese, right? Red is celebration.
Soto to eh. Soto to eh. Well, yeah.
I
Well,
understood that.
yeah, of course you will. Yeah. So, um, I do have one advice for all creatives. Whatever is in your head right now, if you want to create, just effing create it right now.
Okay.
So don't delay it. Stop thinking that what if it's ugly? What would this guy think? No, shut up. Just do it.
Let's do it.
If you're a writer, just effing write it. If you're an artist, just effing draw it. If you have a screenplay, go write it. Just do it. Nike. It's not a sponsored post.
It's not. It's not. But it's
It's
also
not.
a
Mm.
it's also a meme from that guy, Shia LaBeouf, right?
Yeah,
Just do
just
it.
do it. Yeah,
Just
just
do
do it. Yeah, that's yeah, just do it. Yeah. Yeah, that is the most important thing, I mean, like, and that's the number one thing that stops creativity on its tracks. As long as you make that first step, because it's always true and it applies to creativity as well.
hmm
Just the hardest part is the first step, and that first step is to actually do it. I mean, like, you can plan all you want, but all that planning will be for nothing if you don't act upon it.
Okay.
So just do it. Put it out there. If people hate it, then go back to the drawing board and do it again. So just keep doing it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Okay.
Yan ang
Lawrence.
pinaka-importante.
Yes, I
Mm.
agree.
Uh, I totally agree with what Fran said. You need that perseverance in this business. For me,
Yeah.
I have three core bits of advice. Um, because I like to be practical with what I share with my fellow creatives. So, first, open mindedness to everything. Uh, so, for example, being open minded to having your show, being, having commercial value to it. Because I know a lot of us would just like to focus on doing things for the creative aspect, art for art's sake. I get it. You want to talk about what it means to be human and
hmm
about all that. You don't want to care about money and all this business stuff. But one thing you could think of, guys, is being a quote unquote big commercial hit actually can help spread the word of your IP to a larger audience. I recently watched a movie in the Japanese Film Festival called Hakken Anime, or the English title Anime
Mhm.
Supremacy. It's literally the story about an anime director who's struggling to get her show produced, hitting deadlines, competing with another TV show from a more established, legendary director who is more experienced than her. And she was against, all those merchandise deals for the show and all that. She felt it cheapened the show, but it reached a larger audience, which is the goal of why we create, right? We want to reach a larger audience. Otherwise, we could just create something and it'll just be consumed by ourselves and our small group of friends. But if you want your story's message to be heard and to be adored and to impact a larger group of people, then these things help.
hmm
You could be both commercial and meaningful at the same time. Like, Spy Family, for example, wonderful IP and merchandise up the wazoo, and talks about war and how and the family and bonds like that. So it's a beautiful thing. So open your mind to that, open yourself to improvements for your project, and open your heart to working with other people to get yourself out there. So open-mindedness, that's important. And then I think Franz said it earlier about being perseverance. And lastly, don't stop believing. There will come times in your journey that you'll just want to stop. You'll become jaded. You'll think, oh, all of this, people are just full of false promises and all sorts of problems in the world. But in order for you to accomplish the impossible, you need to believe that it's possible first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I am that person too. I'm that person. Yeah, I'm jaded. Yeah, I used to think that I need to be more realistic and all that. Pero hindi rin.
You have
You
to
know,
unjade yourself.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, magic does happen as long as you believe it.
Yeah.
It's a very tired trope. I thought, ano, sa bata lang yan, but no, it's really
No,
true. It's
no, no,
really
no. Yeah,
true.
magic does work, and healthy applause. will always revive a fairy. That's taken from Peter. That's from
Yeah.
Peter. That's from Peter Pan. But yeah,
Mm.
thank you. Thank you again, Franz and Lawrence, for the encouragement, for the words of wisdom. I wish you well with Solemn Vow.
Thank
It is
you.
time for the world to know that we Filipinos are creative and we are good at it. All right.
Yeah, we
Uh,
are good. Hmm.
yeah.
Thank you.
Till the next episode, this has been CJ reminding you, fellow creatives out there, to keep reading, keep dreaming, and keep creating. And we will keep watching and we will always be sharing. Have a good day, everybody. Blessed be and namaste.
Matane. Mm.